On the night I thought I knew everything about love, my husband whispered a secret that made my heart race and my world tilt. His desires were nothing like I expected, and as he traced his fingers slowly down my spine, I realized I was stepping into a deeper, darker kind of passion, one that thrilled me, scared me, and awakened something I never knew I craved. Please don't forget to subscribe for more interesting. I was always the type of girl who followed rules. Not just the ones society gave us, but the ones passed down from my mother, the quiet wisdom she whispered to me on the night before my wedding. I still remember the way she looked at me that evening, her soft gray eyes holding back tears as she sat on the edge of my bed. The house smelled like lilies and vanilla, and the moonlight was seeping in through the curtains. "Emily," she said gently, "marriage is a journey you walk mostly with your heart, but don't forget to take your mind with you." She held my hands, the same way she did when I was a child who didn't want to go to school, and then shared things with me that I never expected. It wasn't just about being a wife, it was about being a woman. About understanding the rhythm of love, the power of listening, and most importantly, how to keep the mystery alive. She told me that some desires, if nurtured, become powerful bonds, but if neglected, could grow into resentments. "Give space," she said. "But don't be afraid to take charge sometimes. Let love surprise you, but don't lose yourself in it." I didn't really understand the full depth of her advice then, but I nodded and hugged her tightly. It felt safe, like I was being armed for an adventure, one I couldn't wait to begin. My wedding to Brandon Carter was like something out of a dream. Brandon had always been charming, a little mysterious, and devastatingly handsome. He had that quiet confidence that pulled people in, but I had always believed I knew what lay underneath: softness, sincerity, a heart that craved connection. We had dated for 2 years before he proposed. Our romance had its heat, of course, but it also had comfort. The way he held my hand in the car, or the way he always brought me tea when I had a headache, made me feel like I had chosen the right man. But things began to shift after our honeymoon. It was subtle at first. I noticed it the night we returned from Maui. He had been quiet during the flight, and even quieter when we got home. At first, I thought he was just tired. But later that night, as we settled into our new life together, he turned to me with an intense gaze I hadn't seen before. "Emily," he said, brushing my hair back, "I want to talk about something different." I sat up, curious but cautious. "Different how?" He hesitated. "I've never told anyone this. And I didn't want to spring it on you before. But now that we're married, I think we should explore all of each other. No walls. No masks." That alone wouldn't have unsettled me. I believed in openness. But then he began to reveal a side of himself I hadn't known existed. His desires weren't cruel or unkind, but they were raw, deep, passionate in a way that almost scared me. He talked about the fire he'd held back for years, about fantasies he never dared to share before. He wanted more than the soft affection we'd shared. He wanted intensity, power, sensation. He wanted to see how far we could push our connection. Not just emotionally, but physically, mentally, spiritually. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. All the secrets my mother had given me felt like gentle ripples on a calm lake, but Brandon wanted to dive into the storm. I felt overwhelmed. But there was something else too, a part of me, long dormant, that stirred. A curiosity that tugged at my heart, even as my mind tried to resist. That night, we didn't make love the way we usually did. He was deliberate, focused, watching me with eyes that held more than just affection. There was desire, hunger, and something deeper, something waiting to be unlocked. I was nervous, but I didn't stop him. I let myself go, just a little. And what I felt wasn't fear. It was fascination. In the following weeks, our nights became unpredictable. Sometimes he'd come home quiet, kiss my neck in the kitchen, whispering things that made my breath hitch. Other times, he'd take me in his arms with a heat that made the rest of the world disappear. There were evenings I would find notes in places I wouldn't expect. Under my pillow, inside a book, tucked in the drawer. Each note more daring than the last. He wanted to explore fantasies. Not with others, just us. He wanted me to trust him, to follow where he led. And part of me did. But another part hesitated. This wasn't the version of marriage I had imagined. One evening, I found myself sitting on the porch, talking to my mother on the phone. I didn't tell her everything, of course. Just enough. He's different than I thought, I said. Different how? She asked. He's intense. More than I expected. He wants things I didn't even know could be part of a relationship. It's not bad, it's just new, she finished for me. Scary. Yes, I whispered. She was quiet for a while, then said something I'll never forget. Emily, love is not just about comfort. It's about discovery. Sometimes the person you marry has hidden doors. It doesn't mean they're not the right person, it just means there's more to find. Those words stuck with me. So I began to lean in. Slowly. Carefully. I let Brandon show me who he really was. I learned his patterns, his moods. I watched how his eyes darkened when he was moved, how his fingers tightened when he craved connection. I realized that behind his intensity was vulnerability. He wasn't trying to control me, he was trying to be seen. Completely. And he wanted me to show myself, too. The night everything changed, we had argued. A silly fight about dinner and work schedules. I stormed into the bedroom, arms crossed, frustrated. He followed me, silent, and then just stood there watching. Say something, I snapped. But he didn't speak. Instead, he came forward and placed his hand gently on my shoulder. His touch was warm, grounding. Then he kissed my forehead. You think I want to change you, he said. But I don't. I want all of you. Even the parts you hide from yourself. Something inside me broke open. I looked into his eyes and finally understood. This wasn't about submission or control. It was about liberation. About freeing the parts of ourselves that life had taught us to tame. He wasn't asking me to be someone else. He was inviting me to be more of myself. That night, we didn't just explore our bodies, we explored our souls. Every touch, every whisper, every pause was a new language between us. He showed me things I hadn't dared dream of, and I gave him trust in return. Over time, our marriage became more than I expected. It was still romantic, still affectionate, but also thrilling. Every day felt like a mystery to unwrap. He started to read poetry to me in the evenings, and I would surprise him with little gestures that spoke to his deeper desires. We took weekend trips where we left our phones at home and pretended to be strangers meeting for the first time. We built a world that wasn't just about routine, it was about wonder. 1 year after our wedding, my mother came to visit. She watched us quietly over dinner, the way we moved around each other, the way our eyes found one another even in silence. Later that night, as we did the dishes together, she leaned in and whispered, I see now. You found your own way. I smiled. I remembered what you said. I just had to find out what it really meant. She kissed my cheek and said, you made the guidelines your own. That's all I ever wanted. Now, as I sit in the quiet of our home, I realize love isn't a set of rules, it's a dance. Sometimes wild, sometimes slow, sometimes terrifying, but always honest. And Brandon, with all his unexpected desires, didn't pull me away from myself. He brought me closer to it. This story I'm telling now isn't just about what I learned from my mother or what I discovered in my husband. It's about the fire that burns in all of us, the one waiting to be seen, touched, and trusted. And I'll never be afraid of that fire again.